card with a cricket theme. And I am using this Joanna Sheen Nostalgia CD-ROM with artwork by John Walsh. It's a fabulous CD and the artwork is really, really good. I really like it. It's got some really lovely images on. So I've picked out this cricket image here and I've printed it out on some white cardstock, and as you can see it comes out lovely. And you can choose to print out the whole sheet as I've done, or you can use your snapshot tool and just print out one of the images. You can select one of them and make it bigger, so you can do all sorts of things. And then I've printed out some various papers, etc., to go with it. So I've got 2 sheets of this paper that's got the little images at the bottom and the cricket ball. I've done 2 sheets of that. This is actually an insert, but I did wonder whether I might use that as a backing sheet somehow, so I've printed that off because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to use them, what sheets. It looks a lot brighter on the camera, a lot more limey than it is in life. There we go, it's a bit better. So you can see it's got like little different stripes of colour, and that's a grass image, and again with the little cricket ball in the corner. And I'm not sure if I'll be using all of those. I think this may be the one that I'm mostly using, so but that's not a problem. I also printed out the bookmark because the card that I'm making is going to be an easel card, and I thought it'd be quite cute to slide a bookmark underneath as a gift, so I've put that out and that's matching. I've printed out a sentiment. Now originally I printed it out on paper, on the paper rather than on the card, and I put in the happy birthday, it's upside down. And you can see from this that I've actually used the photo snap tool, or snapshot tool, because this is a whole page of sentiments, and I just went around, and that's why you can see a little bit of colour here, because that's where I picked up some of the images that were next door. But I then decided I wanted to actually do it blank, and I felt that it ought to be on cardstock, so I redid it and I've done it blank on a cardstock, so I've got that there. And here we have my card base. Now I've already started on this, and what I've got is an A4 piece of paper, or card, and I folded that in half, or scored it and folded it in half, and then I've scored and folded that front piece in half as well. So then I need to start layering up my colour. So I picked out 2 gorgeous coordinations greens, and again in life this is a lot less limey than it appears on the screen. So if I try and bring it up and see if that helps. So you've got the 2 different greens, and I'm going to take the darker one and then the lighter one, and I'm going to layer it on my base layer, ready for my pattern paper to go on. I've put my base of my first layer of green on, so now I need to get the second layer. So we just want a small edge, so the best way to do that really is just to mark by eye, because then you know it's exactly how you want it to be. So just going to grab a little pencil and mark where I want it to be, and then cut and place. Okay, so I'm just going to use my ATG. Making sure it's got plenty of glue so it holds on. Okay, and then just line it up before you press it down. Okay, so that's our base layer. And we don't need to do anything on this layer at all because it's not going to show at all. None of this is going to come through because of the way that I'm going to be doing the card. I've got a piece of A4 that I cut in half, so that's going to be my front piece here. So I don't need that to be covered at all because that's not going to show. The next thing I want to do is cover this A5 piece of card with the green in the same configuration as I did for the bottom piece. Okay, so I have finished doing my 2 layers on my base, or my actual easel, and then I decided that I would actually put some of the green cardstock on this white piece here on the mechanism, because I just thought that when you look at the back it just doesn't look nice, and also it gives it that extra bit of strength, because there's going to be quite a lot of weight on the whole card, and if we didn't have anything on there it would be not as strong. So that's that all done, and then that piece will sit on there, and that also means that if I wanted to I could lift that up a little bit. I probably won't, but you've got that option. So that's going to sit like so. Okay, so now we need to start putting our pattern paper on. First of all though, I'm going to cut out my image, and the reason for that is I can start to see what it looks like on the various pattern papers. So I'm going to just, actually in order to be sure to get a nice straight edge, I am going to use my paper trimmer. So to start with, I'm just going to cut down between the two images, so I'm not particularly cutting on any lines, but it's just cutting off images that I don't need at this point in time. Now I probably am going to be using these smaller ones, but we put that to one side at the moment, and then we're going to try and cut one edge nice and straight. Now you could do this with your craft knife as well, and a ruler, but we're just going to. So I'm just visually looking to see where my blade's cutting by gently running it before I put any pressure on, so I could be sure that it was running along the line. Okay, and then use that side, because you know that's straight, to put against your bottom bar here, and then you know if you line up the edge of the image here with the cut line, it's going to be correct. I didn't quite do it far enough over. That's better. And then again, when you turn it around, because you know those two sides are straight, again if you just line it up. Okay. Now I know there's a lot of people that don't like CD crafting, they think it's cheating or whatever, but I think you can see, hopefully from what I'm doing here and other cards that I've done, that really all I use them for is not actually particularly doing a lot of design work on the CDs, although I do that, I enjoy that too, but I use it as a resource for printing out toppers, backing papers, etc. And that's no different in my mind to going to the shop and buying them, to be honest. And so that's going to be sitting on here like so, and I do want to mat this as well onto some coloured cardstock. Now I was actually thinking of matting it onto blue to draw out the blue, but we'll see what we think once we start putting the pattern paper in place. So the one that I was looking at was this one for the base, because I thought it was quite fun on here. So that was for the base. So I'm going to cut that to size, just to give me some idea again visually, just to see what I think. I've cut that to size now, and I'm going to use my ATG and stick that down. So we're just lining that up and then laying that down. Okay, so I think that looks really effective. I'm going to put that to one side for the moment, and we're going to now do our actual image. So we've got this gorgeous image, and I want to layer that onto, mat that onto some coloured card, as well as put the pattern paper down. Sure that because we want the cricket ball, when I turn it over I need to make sure that I'm marking, so make sure you put the cricket ball in the corner that's correct, in the correct position, so that when you're marking for cutting, you're going to be cutting on the part and leaving the little cricket ball behind. Okay, good. So let's put that down. Now I think I'm going to put some twine around this element, but I'm actually going to do it around the whole thing, so we don't need to worry about doing it before we stick this layer down. Because we're going to be sticking the whole part of this easel onto the easel mechanism, we've got the ability then to actually stick the twine around the whole of this element rather than, because the back of it will be hidden. I'll show you what I mean in a second because it's probably not clear in words. Okay, and then there we go. So again, I think that looks really effective. And I love the way that you've got this element here where the shadow's been put on the paper and it just looks like it really is 3D. So what I meant was, because this whole element is going to have to stick just half of it at least onto this part, it means that if we put any twine around the back here, it is going to get hidden in here. So if I decide to do that, which I may do, then we've got that option of hiding it all away. Okay, so I think we want to put that kind of in the corner here so we can still see the ball. But I do want to map this. I've had a little play with the different colours, and what I think I like is, I love the blue with it. I think that really pops the colour out, and I really like this red as well because I think that brings out the colour, and it has also got the colour of the cricket ball. But I think on their own it looks a bit strange because I haven't put any of those colours elsewhere, so it's not really linking. So I then decided that I would add a layer of the green as well, and then when I put that on there, it kind of all blends together quite nicely, I think, and just makes it all zap up. So I'm going to do 3 layers, so hopefully that's going to work. So we're going to basically mark and cut size as we've done before. Okay, so we've mounted all those up onto the 3 different colours, and then that will go onto here, and I think that just gives it just a little bit of pop, and I think we'll probably pop that across, because if I put it in the middle it's going to cover the cricket ball, which is pointless. So I think I'm going to try and pop it into the corner like so. But before I do that, I'm thinking about putting my twine around. Okay, so I've got this red twine, and it's by So Easy Baker's Twine, and I'm going to pop that a couple of times around this bit here. So just move this out, wait a minute. Okay, so just do a knot. We can always move this later, so because we've not stuck it in position, so I'm just going to do a double knot first of all to hold it, because it makes it a lot easier than when you do your bow. So then I'm going to take that under both strings to knot it together to make it kind of come to one point there, so it looks kind of more attractive. And then I'm going to check to double that as well, and then I just want to check exactly where I need it. So I think that's going to be fine just in that position there. So then I just need to check against my piece here, and yep, that's going to be fine, that's going to be well covered. So now all I need to do is I'm going to leave that to one side, because I'll knot that into a bow once I've stuck this down, and I'm going to stick this down with glue gel. But I do want to print this out some more, I think, and do some decoupage on it, because I think that will look really nice. So I'm just going to leave this to one side for the moment and print some more of this, as I say, ready to do my decoupage. But before I do that, I'm just going to finish on here. Now I already have a sheet, a second one of those, so I can use the ball from that one to decoupage up on there. And then I've got these, and I'm just thinking that instead of using these images here, I might put those over the top, but actually I think I'll stick with the ones that are there, just saying that. So I'm just going to cut these out and layer those up. Okay, so I've cut these pieces out, so I'm now just going to gently curve this cricket ball so that it gives it some dimension when we stick it down. And then I'm going to be using my glue gel, put less at the edge and then a lot more in the middle to keep the dimension that you've curved in. There we go. Which you can't see as much. But there we go, you can see it from the side now. And then we've got our little pieces here, so we're just going to not curve those because they're obviously just little images, so we're just going to pop some glue gel on those. And don't put it on upside down. And I've done them at slightly different heights, so the two side ones are slightly lower than the middle one, just again to give it that extra bit of dimension. Okay, so we're going to let those settle and dry, and go and print out our other sheets so that we can decoupage. Okay, so I printed out the image sheet another 3 times, and then I created my own decoupage. So basically I took this image and I cut this kind of foreground layer, and then I took the next part that I thought would be kind of more in the front, which was this bit here, and then I took a few pieces, the people, etc., to bring those forward even further. So we're now going to layer those up using my glue gel. So the first thing I want to do is just very slightly curve this, just so that it's not flat completely. I don't want it really curved because it is it's not like a ball or something, you know, where you want it, but I don't want it be sort of popping up. So I'm just slightly curving it, and then I'm going to take my glue gel. Actually, I'm going to move that out the way, and we're just going to put some of that on the back here. Make sure I get some on that little piece there. And it was really very quick and easy to cut out. Actually, it wasn't a difficult image, especially when you're making it up yourself. You can kind of decide how easy and how difficult you want it to be. Okay, just lift that up. Bring that in and pop it down in place. Perfect. Okay, so you can just see how we're starting to bring that in. So now the next element, which is this piece here. So again, I'm just going to very carefully, because where you cut it, it kind of starts bending the opposite, because you kind of curve it as you're cutting, so we don't want that kind of look, so we're just straightening it out really, I guess. Okay. Again, just carefully lift that up. Just making sure it all lines up nicely. Okay, so now it's the teeny bits which are a little bit more fiddly. So we'll just start with our bird, our little kingfisher. And then our boy in the water. And then our couple. As usual, I like plenty of glue. Okay, and lastly, our lady with the dog. There we go. So that's that finished, and I think that looks really effective with the 3D if you look from the side. You can just see how it's really popping. So I think that's worked really well. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is stick this onto this card base here that we made. Now what I want to do is stick this down so that it can dry overnight nice and just making sure this is straight, lined up. Okay. So we'll just move our little ends out the way and we're going to pop that down in place. So we're again just using the glue gel because that's going to keep it nice and strong, because there's a lot of weight on here now, so you want to make sure that you've got plenty of adhesive. Don't press down on the parts, like I just did then, that have got the decoupage on, because you don't want to squish what you've just achieved. Okay, so we'll just put that there, and then the last thing I'm going to do, or before I just let this dry, is do my bow. Okay, so that's the bow done. One thing I'm probably going to do before I leave this to set is attach this piece to the front of the actual easel card itself, so again that can be setting overnight before I need to continue with the last final pieces of the card. So again, just using my glue gel, and I would personally put it on the actual card base rather than on your element, because you don't know that you're going to absolutely get it in the right position otherwise. With the glue, I mean, because you only need it on half of this. Okay. I'm just going to line it up and then just double check I'm happy with that. Yep. So now we're going to leave that to set. So I have let this dry now, so it's completely set and it's been dried overnight, and it, as you can see, it's looking really effective with 3D. So that's all done nicely. So now we're going to be working on our sentiment tag. So I'd cut this out and then I cut my layers to mat it on as well, and I just did that by eye. And I've done a little bow in the string as well. So the first thing we need to do is stamp our sentiment, and ink up and then stamp. There we go. Okay, so now we'll do the 80. Okay, so that's that bit done. So now we're going to mat that onto our layers, and I've literally just put some sticky tape on the back of these, so we'll just double-sided tape, I mean, so we'll just mat those up. So that's given us a nice matching kind of mat to the image that we had before. Now we need to place this sentiment on our card base so that that acts as the stopper for our easel card. So I'm going to use some 3D foam, just because that's nice and instant, whereas with the glue gel I'd have to wait, and that's quite difficult because of the weight of the other card on there. So we're just going to use a couple of pieces of the foam. And then we want to place that just thinking that might look better actually. What I want to see is if it's going to hold it up nice and straight though. Yep, that will be fine. So then just press that down. And then the last thing I've got on here is I've got a little twine bow, which is matching in with the bow that I've got on the image itself, or around that main image. So I'm just going to use a glue dot, or a bit of a glue dot to be honest. Just pop that down. And then put that in place, like so. And there we go. So there we go, that's that part done. So I'm pleased with how that's coming on. Now there's one more thing that I'm thinking of doing, and I'm just going to see if that's going to work. So just to show you that I have now made up the bookmark. So all I did was I cut the two pieces out, I stuck them together with my glue gel. I rounded the corners off with my corner chomper, and then I don't know if you can see that it's shiny there. I put it through my Xyron sticker maker, but I put the double laminator cartridge in, so it laminated it on both sides just to give it a really nice finish. And the plan is that it's going to slide in that part of the card, and that's like an extra gift for that person, like a little bit of extra on that card. Okay, so as you can see, I have stamped out a banner. I've stamped it out on white, which is going to give me my shape, and I've marked on here GBR, which is basically the colours of each of the banners. So I'm going to then stamp it on here, and I'm going to cut out each little banner and place them on here, and then I'm just going to be using the white just so that I've got the shape nice and easily. I then stamped on these ones the letters according to this, so I've marked out happy birthday. I'm actually going to very slightly change that. That green one is going to come along here, so the colours are going to bob along one, and I'm going to put an exclamation mark on there, so that's going to work that way. But I'm now going to cut out all these little triangles ready to pop onto this, and I'm going to cut this out as well. Okay, so I've now finished cutting out all the bunting that I stamped, and I've put my little pieces on the white. I then took some of the baker's twine that we used already on the card, and I used some of my PVA glue, and I just did a little line and I put it across the top. I then did some separate bows and just glued those where the bows would be on the bunting, which is there on the stamp, so it's nice and easy. And by the way, these were the Anna Griffin. So now the next thing we need to do is put this bunting onto our card. So the plan is to pop this so it sits across like so. And at the moment I've got a little bit of extra twine just poking out the edges, and I will cut that when we finish popping this on. So what I'm going to do is basically put some glue gel behind each little piece of the bunting, and obviously these two ends here and this one end here needs to have a little bit more of the glue gel, and obviously where there's decoupage here we need even less, we need hardly any, and a little bit more on these ones just to try and make it pop a bit. And then just a very small amount on these ones. So just carefully take your bunting. Now this is quite fiddly to put on because you can't get it in the wrong place. You have to put it down pretty much where you want it, because if you move it you're going to have glue gel everywhere. So now I'm just going to snip the excess baker's twine off the ends here, and I'm going to leave just a small amount because I think it looks quite cute coming off the end. There we go. And that, I think, completes our card. Okay, so here's our finished card. I've stood it up so you can see the full effect of the easel. I think it looks really good. I hope you've enjoyed making this with me, and I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching.